So Bob Arum, Tyson Fury's new co-promoter, has come out and worried the boxing public even more with his latest comments by saying that essentially he thinks that Tyson Fury should wait before he does the Deontay Wilder rematch until maybe September. Now I'm going to quote him directly here. This is from the LA Times website. He says, "We envision this rematch can reach 1 to 2 million homes. The only way to do that is to allow the general sports fan to really get to know these guys. If that takes each of them fighting another opponent first, then rolling them into a September fight, the money on the table then would be more than they can conceive of. That's the way I look at it." So that's what Bob Arum told the LA Times. And, you know, from a business perspective, I can understand what Uncle Bob is saying, because as much as their first fight did generate headlines, they're still not household names in the United States. And with a platform like ESPN, they really can grow this fight to a whole new level, the rematch between Wilder and Fury. So I can understand what Uncle Bob is saying. But of course, if you're allowing each fighter to have a fight in the interim, you always run the risk of an upset happening. We've seen this countless times in boxing, particularly in the heavyweight division, and I've spoken about it ad nauseum in the past. Tommy Morrison was supposed to fight Lennox Lewis, got knocked out by Michael Bent. Lennox Lewis was supposed to fight Riddick Bowe, got knocked out by Oliver McCall. So on and so forth. There have been so many upsets that have happened over the years. I mean, Vladimir Klitschko was supposed to fight Lennox Lewis, got knocked out by Corey Sanders. The heavyweight division in particular is replete with situations like that. And that's what you run the risk of if you are trying to have the two fighters take a tune-up, a stay busy. That somebody could get beat. And I know it seems improbable, but it always seems improbable. Very few people felt like Oliver McCall would beat Lennox Lewis. Trust me. Very few people felt like Michael Bent would beat Tommy Morrison. Very few people felt that Corey Sanders would beat Vladimir Klitschko. I mean, Mike Tyson was supposed to fight Evander Holyfield. They were building that up in the late 80s, early 90s. They were building that up. Holyfield had worked his way to the mandatory position. Mike Tyson was undisputed champion at the time. Tyson was supposed to be making a routine defense against Buster Douglas. You know what happened there? Holyfield ended up fighting Buster Douglas, the 42-1 underdog, rather than Mike Tyson for the undisputed championship. So trust me, if Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury were to lose before they fight each other in the rematch, that would not be anywhere near as big an upset as Mike Tyson losing to Buster Douglas. Not even close. So that's the risk that you run. But if all goes well and the two guys do get through their interim fights, then yeah, maybe it really will pay off. Because ESPN, although it doesn't have, as far as I'm aware, the kind of pay-per-view history for boxing that Showtime and HBO have, ESPN is accessible to far more people in the United States than Showtime or HBO. ESPN has millions and millions and millions of people who watch it. Of course, there's ESPN Plus, the app, which has a smaller subscriber base, but they can promote the fight across all of ESPN's different stations. So even though it might only be shown on ESPN Plus, I'm not sure where exactly they're going to show it, or ESPN pay-per-view, they're going to promote it across all of ESPN's different media platforms. And that is going to reach a lot of people. So I can fully understand what Bob Arum is saying, but it appears to suggest that they're not looking to do the fight next. And certainly when you had the press conference where Tyson Fury announced his ESPN top-ranked deal, both him and Frank Warren were choosing their words very carefully, and they did not want to commit to saying that the Deontay Wilder fight was next. If you notice, they were very careful with what they were saying. And yeah, that has put doubts in a lot of people's heads. And of course, there's the situation I already mentioned with regards to what happens in a purse bid. If Tyson Fury's people win the purse bid, would Al Heyman allow Deontay Wilder to fight on ESPN? Heyman does appear to be closing ranks a little bit lately and not really allowing too many of his fighters to go over to other networks and do other things. He seems to be doing that a lot lately. And with one of his bigger names in Deontay Wilder and a heavyweight champion, a potential cash cow, would he want to give his rivals such a massive boost by giving his heavyweight champion over to them, for them to make loads of money out of the fight on their network? Would Al Heyman want to do that? Now, he might be holding Deontay Wilder back from making money if he does do that. You know, he might be actually damaging Deontay Wilder's career by not giving him the opportunity to take this rematch, which would undoubtedly be for career high money. So that's something Deontay Wilder would have to take up with Al Heyman. It's going to be interesting to see how it develops. Deontay Wilder has responded, and he doesn't seem that worried about the fight not happening. He still thinks that at the moment it's all systems go for the rematch, but he also said that if it don't happen, it's okay. He's got other opponents he can fight for the next couple years. He talked about, you know, the likes of Dominic Breazeale. He also talked about Calzaghe, when I guess he meant Kalnacki, but he kept on saying Calzaghe in a Boxing Voice interview earlier on today. Or was it yesterday? Today or yesterday, the Boxing Voice interview that he did, kept on talking about Calzaghe. So, yeah, he doesn't seem that concerned, and he'll continue fighting the people that he's fighting. Lesser known opponents. Is he going to be satisfied doing that when the likes of Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua are going to be making way more money than he's making? We'll see. I mean, how much has Deontay Wilder's profile risen since the Tyson Fury fight? Would he be able to do a pay-per-view against the standard opponent at this juncture? I doubt it, but you never know. So, yeah. The network situation is a potential issue now because previously Tyson Fury wasn't tied to any US network. Now he is. That's a potential issue because of the fact that Al Heyman is an arch rival of Bob Arum. They do not like each other at all. So I can't imagine Al Heyman wanting to do Bob Arum any favors. So that's a potential issue. There's also, as I say, the possibility of this fight getting delayed or deferred and them having bouts in the interim, and will either guy win. And also there's the issue of the split, because I think it's pretty well established now that it's Tyson Fury's team who have been delaying the negotiations, because they did not tell Deontay Wilder's team that they were doing this ESPN deal. So this has come as a surprise even to Deontay Wilder's team. And so if they didn't tell them about the ESPN deal, they must have been using deliberate stalling tactics in the negotiations. In fact, Frank Warren, in this interview here, admitted that he hasn't spoken to Deontay Wilder's team in over a week. So it was Team Fury that were delaying the negotiations while they got this deal over the line with ESPN. And now they're happy for negotiations to resume, but of course the terms are going to be very different. Now, it seemed as though Tyson Fury wasn't happy with 60-40, but that's all Tyson Fury is going to get in a purse bid situation. So regardless who wins the purse bid, Tyson Fury is only going to get 40%, which is why he wants to try and get a deal done where he's getting, I guess, better than 40% rather than having to go to a purse bid. If it does go to a purse bid, you would imagine the Fury side has got a very good chance of winning it. But if he's not happy with 40%, then it's irrelevant, right? So we'll see what happens here. Will it be Deontay Wilder's team who pull out of the negotiations, or will it be Tyson Fury's team? Because neither side at this juncture, or up until now anyway, have seemed to have wanted a purse bid. They both seem to be avoiding a purse bid, all right? Because they both agreed on 2 occasions to push the purse bid back. If only one side wanted to push the purse bid back, a purse bid would have happened. Because in situations like that, the sanctioning body will enforce it. But when the 2 sides are in agreement that they can't agree, basically, when they're agreeing to disagree, and they both want the purse bid back, pushed back, that's what happens. So we'll see now if anybody wants to force a purse bid. Maybe Wilder's team will, maybe Fury's team will. I think the general mood among boxing fans is that this fight is not going to happen next. It still might. It's still a possibility. I'm not going to dismiss it entirely in terms of happening next. It still could happen in May. And of course, they would, if they possibly can, undermine Anthony Joshua's fight against Jerome Miller by having the Fury-Wilder rematch just a couple weeks before AJ and Miller's fight. Particularly if they had it in New York, that would be a way of undermining AJ versus Miller. And in business, this is what goes on. People want to undermine the competition. It's cutthroat. So I think ideally, at least some people in both teams would like to do that. But if they follow the path that Bob Arum seems to have in his mind, he'd prefer not to do that and to have the fight in September after the summer, when ESPN has successfully built the profile of both of these fighters to a whole new level. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Is this rematch going to happen next? Or are we going to see both guys fight a tune-up? And maybe we'll see Deontay Wilder take on his mandatory Dominic Breazeale, because obviously Breazeale had been entertaining a Dillian Whyte fight. But now that this fight seems sketchy, potentially in jeopardy, we might not see Dillian Whyte fight Breazeale. We might see Breazeale get a straight shot at Deontay Wilder, in which case Dillian Whyte is going to have to find a different opponent. Maybe Dillian Whyte will fight Tyson Fury. He's a free agent, right? So he can fight wherever he wants. He doesn't have a long-term deal with Eddie Hearn or Sky, as far as I'm aware. I know he doesn't have a long-term deal with Hearn, but I don't know about Sky. Perhaps he doesn't with Sky either. So maybe he'll entertain a Tyson Fury fight. Would Fury want to fight Dillian Whyte? Is that, I mean, look, Tyson Fury, I'm 100% sure, would be confident of beating Dillian Whyte. But would the people around him look at the Dillian Whyte fight and say, okay, it's supposed to be a tune-up. You don't need to fight somebody as dangerous as Dillian Whyte. Yeah, you can beat him, but why take, such a risk when you don't have to? Because again, as I said in a previous video, Tyson Fury doesn't have a belt, and therefore he isn't obligated to fight somebody in the top 10 or the top 15. He can fight whoever he wants. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about everything I've talked about in this video. It's happening, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.